Hello guys and welcome to my Abyssal Sire guide. Quite a few of you have been asking me how I do Sire and if I can make a guide on it, so I agreed to. Even though there's a lot of very good guides out there, I thought I'd put my spin on things. So I hope you guys do appreciate this, and if you do, don't forget to smash that like button. So, what is the Abyssal Sire? The Abyssal Sire is basically the boss version of an Abyssal Demon. It does require 85 Slayer to kill, however, unlike Abyssal Demons, which you can kill at any time, you have to be on a Slayer task in order to kill the Abyssal Sire. The Abyssal Sire can be found in the Abyss. So there are two ways to get here. One is via Fairy Ring, which is what I would highly recommend, and the second one is going through the Abyss. So this is the Abyss here, and if you see at the south, there is like slight little doorway you can go through to get into here. Like I said though, I would not recommend going that way. Not only will you be skulled, you'll have to go through the wilderness and it'll drain your prayer points as soon as you step into the Abyss. So, like I said, I would highly recommend not doing that. So one of my requirements for doing this is Fairy Tail Part 2, but we'll go over the requirements in a second. So now we know where the Abyssal Sire is, why do you want to kill it? Well, the main reason people kill Sire is the chance of getting an unsired. So an unsired is a 1 in 100 drop, which is pretty common to be fair for drops in RuneScape. Once you get an unsired as a drop, you bring it here to the Fountain of Consumption, use it on it, and you have a chance of getting either a Bludgeon Piece, an Abyssal Dagger, the Jar of Masma, an Abyssal Whip, the Abyssal Head, or the Abyssal Orphan, which is the Abyssal Demon pet. Personally, I am here to get the pet. That's all I want from Abyssal Sire. Obviously, if I get a Bludgeon Piece though, I will be completing the Bludgeon. Okay, let's start off with the quest requirements. So, if you're going to be using the Abyss, you will need to do the Enter Abyss mini quest. However, like I said before, I would not recommend using that way. If you're going to be using the Fairy Rings, which is what I would recommend, you need to have at least started Fairy Tail Part 2. Until you gain access to the Fairy Rings. And finally, completion of Desert Treasure, so you can use the Shadow and Blood spells. So the minimum level requirements I would recommend for doing this is 92 Mage. Now, you don't technically have to have any Mage to do this, but I would seriously recommend it. You need at least 80 in attack, strength, defense, and range. However, you can do this with lower stats. You'll just find it maybe a little bit harder to kill the Abyssal Sire, and you will need a lot more food than I currently have in my invent. You'll also need around about 80 plus hit points, and obviously you need 85 Slayer. The recommended stats, however, is 92 plus Mage, 80 plus range, 90 plus attack, strength, and defense, and 90 plus hit points. You can do it with 85 plus melee stats, but you might just struggle a little bit, like I said before. You will definitely need to use a Dragon Warhammer or a BGS, something like that, if you've got lower combat stats. Otherwise, it's not really worth you guys doing it, I would say, just because the kills will take so much longer. Now we know about the Abyssal Sire and what the minimum requirements are, you probably want to know what gear you should be wearing. So if you haven't noticed already, I have everything on me that I will be taking to Sire. So my melee gear is just bandos, Slayer Helm obviously because you can only kill the Abyssal Sire on task. I would recommend getting it imbued so it works for both mage and range, as well as obviously melee. Fire Cape, a Torture. If you don't have a Torture, bring a Fury or even a Glory. That means you don't have to have a necklace switch. Any Blessing. If you don't have a Blowpipe, use any sort of bolts or anything like that. An Arclight is the best in slot in my opinion. I believe it is actually best in slot here. However, if you don't have access to an Arclight, or if you don't have enough charges for it, either use a Zamorak Hasta, a Tentacle Whip, or a normal whip. You can do it again with lower stuff than that, but I wouldn't recommend it. Dragon Defender, if you're scared about getting hit too much, just bring a good defense shield. For example, a DFS or a Crystal Shield. I bring bandos. You can bring a torso, a fighter torso instead, or even some high defense armor, for example, Torags or some Barrows equipment. Again, bandos, tassets. I use Barrows gloves, Primordials. If you don't have Primordials, just bring normal dragon boots, that's fine. Now, I bring a Ring of Suffering because not only does it have a recoil effect, which in fairness doesn't really do much at Sire, but it does have pretty high defensive stats, and it also has the, I think it's +3 or 4 to the prayer bonus, which is just invaluable, especially when you want to be doing 1 kill per teleport, which I'll be showing you how to do in a second. The inventory, so we've got our range switch. I just have a blowpipe. I use rune darts. However, mithril or adamant darts are perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. I was just doing raids the other day, so I haven't changed my darts over just yet. I bring an amulet switch for a necklace of anguish. Obviously, my Ava's assembler. If you don't have that, use your accumulator. And then I have an armadillo chestplate. So that's my range switch over and done with. You want 3 combat pots and 3 ranging pots. You want 2 antidotes or another form of poison, healing / resistance. You want a stamina pot, some prayer pots. Again, you shouldn't need the prayer pots. And food, which again you shouldn't need if you follow this guide correctly. So how to get to Abyssal Sire? I'm going to show you me teleporting to my house, and this is the way I would recommend doing this. So in order to do the method that I'm currently doing, you need a ornate rejuvenation pool and a fairy ring in your house. So I believe that is 83 construction with boosts, which is really good. So if you don't have this method unlocked, you're going to have to switch out your inventory and put a lot more food in there and maybe a little bit more prayer potions, but you won't need the extra super combats, for example. So you can just use 1 super combat. You don't even have to use super range, and then food and prayer, and obviously your antidote or whatever you're using. So you want to go to DIP, and that will take you directly to the Abyssal Nexus. So once you're in here, if you just go to your map, as you can see, there are 4 separate chambers. Now, there is an Abyssal Sire in each and every one of these chambers. Personally, I go to the southwest one. I believe it is the quickest one to run to. Only very slightly though. I think it's southwest, then southeast, then northwest, northeast. I believe that's the way it goes. So, once you're in here, you want to run southeast. Follow this path around. Make sure no one else is already on this world. Hopefully there isn't, and I can just jump in straight away and show you how I do this. So I always have mine set up to rapid as well. We actually look quite good. Yeah, I think the world is clear. So now I'm going to show you a kill real quickly. So first of all, set up your prayers as piety, preserved if you have it, and protection from melee. Once you have your quick prayer set up, we're ready to do the fight. So you want to switch to your range gear first, as you start off every fight in your range gear. Change your attack style to long range, attack the Abyssal Sire, switch to rapid, go to your prayer book, use Shadow Barrage, and then the Sire will go to sleep as well as the tentacles. You can also use Shadow Blitz for that. However, Shadow Barrage has a 100% chance of putting the Abyssal Sire to sleep, whereas Shadow Blitz, I believe, only has a 75% chance, and then it just goes down. So Smoke Burst has a, I think it's 50% chance, and then the Rush one has a 25% chance. So you don't have to do that. However, it is going to be incredibly detrimental if you don't. What you want to do is keep attacking the respiratory systems until the Abyssal Sire wakes up again. As you can see there, the Abyssal Sire has just woken up. These eyes will appear. The eyes will open up on the tentacles, and the Abyssal Sire will start to stand up. As soon as that happens, you want to just rush back to the Abyssal Sire and use your Shadow Barrage or Burst, whatever it is, on the Abyssal Sire. Finish off killing the respiratory systems, and then once you've finished, go into the middle. So now we've finished killing them. You want to pot up, make sure you're fully potted. Put your melee gear on, get your Dragon Warhammer if you have one, if you're not, a BGS. Alright, so I'm going to show you some important information. I didn't quite know where to put these into the video, so I thought just before we get into the fight, it's probably best to. So when you're using melee on the first phase against the Abyssal Sire, there are 2 special attacks you have to watch out for. So one of them being this attack you see on screen. The Abyssal Sire will hug itself. There'll be like a green siphon that comes up, and then it will spawn a pool underneath you. You need to move at least 1 square away from that pool. So not on the pool, not the square next to it, but at least 1 square away from that. So I suppose that's technically 2 squares away from the pool. Otherwise, you will get hit pretty freaking hard. That's why you need the antidote, as that can hit 30s, 40s, in a matter of seconds on you, which is obviously very, very worrying when you're trying to learn Sire. So don't worry about it. As long as you've got your anti-poison or antidote or something like that, you should be okay. You shouldn't get hit too much. The second attack is a one you will see here, where he'll bring his tentacles forward a little bit, and then he will sort of like slap them backwards, and that will hit through your prayer. Again, that can hit quite hard. But it's just one of those things that you can't protect against. Luckily though, it doesn't hit too much. So as long as you keep your health above about 50, 60, you should be okay. Put your melee gear on, Get your Dragon Warhammer if you have one. If you're not, a BGS. Obviously, if you don't have a spec weapon, just use something along the lines of, I don't know, Dragon Dagger or something. So activate your quick prayers, attack the Abyssal Sire. Hopefully we can get a hit in. Unfortunately not. So now we just wait until we get the Abyssal Sire down to, I think it's 45% health. I believe it's just under 50%. This can take a little while, and there are a few things you have to watch out for. So there isn't many attacks on here. However, sometimes he will hug himself, which I'll show you on screen right now, and that can poison you, which is why we need the antidote. So what I always do is when I drink my super combat pot, I'll also drink my antidote just to make sure that we do have the protection from poison. It won't completely protect you, however, it will negate a lot of the damage. I think it knocks it down from like 13s, 15s down to like 1s and 4s. So as you can see, that is a massive difference right there. Like I said, this phase is pretty easy. You just want to kill the Abyssal Sire. That was its melee attack, its main melee attack, which it can hit quite hard. It always seems to hit through prayer for me. I'm not entirely sure if that's been confirmed by Jagex. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to another clip here. So as you can see now, the Abyssal Sire is starting to move. This is moving on to the next phase. Stand on the exact square that I'm stood on right now and protect from missiles. So as soon as the Abyssal Sire becomes attackable, attack him. And then you want to move between these two squares every 2 weapon attacks. Well, so what I'll do is I'll slow this bit down for you just a little bit. So as you can see, just as the Abyssal Sire becomes attackable, just underneath him he spawns one of them pools, and then he will spawn, he will keep changing the spawns. I think it's every 2 or 3 game 6. I don't exactly know the timing. However, what I do know is you can attack once, and then just before you're about to attack again, move over to the second square, and then attack straight away again. And then you should be able to get a second attack in before you move again. Let me just explain that a little bit better for you. So when the Abyssal Sire first becomes attackable, you will click to attack the Abyssal Sire, and you will walk south 1 step, standing just in front of the Abyssal Sire and out of the reach of the tentacles. You will then be able to hit the Abyssal Sire once with a whip, a haster, or obviously your arc light. Just before you're about to hit again, you should move over to the second spot, which is 2 squares to the east. At this point, you can then attack the Abyssal Sire twice before having to move back to the original spot and then hitting it once, and then just before your second attack, moving over again. Now, when you're doing this, there'll be a chance that you will get teleported. That is to move you onto the 3rd and final phase. So as you can see there, I've just been teleported. You'll always be teleported to the same spot. You need to run backwards, stand on that square I'm running at, click on the Abyssal Sire to walk back, and then attack the Abyssal Sire. So as you'll notice there, I was taking quite a lot of damage. So what I'm going to do is quickly use Blood Barrage just to heal up, heal my prayer back up, and then I'm going to go back to standing on these squares here, and then running left and right if he spawns any of those pools. Sometimes he will and sometimes he won't. I've left this clip in as this is one where I'm getting absolutely wrecked, so I just want to show you how I heal and stuff. It is really easy just to get them all together like that because there's so many of them spawning. So as you can see there, I wasn't stood quite close enough to the Abyssal Sire and I got hit by one of these tentacles. But yeah, that's pretty much the premise of it. And then there's the drop. Now, once you've killed Abyssal Sire, you want to pick up your loot, switch back over to your range gear, walk towards Abyssal Sire, and then start off the kill again. I'm going to quickly speed through this because I've already been through this part once already, but this is where the player-owned house pool and stuff really does come in handy. So once we've killed all the respiratory systems, you want to teleport to your house, regen your stats, quickly go back to the fairy ring, run back into where you were, because obviously now you've got full prayer, you've got full special attack, and you've got full HP. You also won't need to use stamina pots as you have full HP. So all you want to do is run back in here, and if you get back quickly enough, you can't spend too much time, like you can't go and bank, otherwise the Sire will reset. But as you can see here, I get back just in time. The Abyssal Sire is just before he goes to despawn, and I can get some more specs in and continue my attack. And that is how you continue doing Sire again and again and again. So I'm going to leave a video in now, a clip of me doing Sire. I'll just put some background music on it of a really good, a really quick kill, just in case you want to see it without it being broken down. I'm hoping you guys did enjoy this. If you did, please smash a like and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future content. This is taking me quite a while to make, so like I said guys, I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you appreciate it. Good luck at Sire and let me know if you get any drops.